This morning on DC News Now, a teen is dead. His alleged shooter is in custody after a prank gone wrong. We have the latest from investigators. A mix of sun and clouds with highs in the mid to upper 70s for your Wednesday afternoon. Meteorologist Jackie Layer is tracking the next chance for rain and storms tomorrow. Plus, months without AC at one Maryland school.
Somebody passing out getting sick. That was my main concern.
The timeline to turn the air back on. And today is the Real ID deadline. What you need to take to the skies to stay hassle-free. DC tourism hitting an all-time high last year. How city leaders are working to keep up the trend.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
All right, it is 6 o'clock on your Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us for DC News Now. I'm Randy Bass.
And good morning. I'm Shanika Grimshaw. I'll have a look at your roads in just a bit. But first, we really want to know how it's going to feel, how it's going to look today. We have meteorologist Jackie Layer with a check on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really nice out there later on this afternoon. Out there this morning, we just have some clouds. Those clouds will dissipate and give us more of that sunshine later on today. And also out there right now, we do have a couple sprinkles. Those showers, though, continue to dissipate and continue to work their way off towards our south and east. So just a few of those blips on the map across southernmost parts of Maryland. And also we're just tracking some clouds out there right now. And eventually that'll give way to more of that sunshine through the day today. Temperatures will be right around 70 as early as 11 a.m. We're talking about those mid to upper 70s later on this afternoon. Really a nice day overall. One of the nicer days out of the work week. And then as we get towards tomorrow, still on the warmer side of things. However, we do have some scattered afternoon thunderstorms that we'll have to dodge as we look ahead towards, say, 3 p.m. onwards. So heads up about that. I'll have more details on that and looking towards the rest of that 7-day forecast coming up. But Shanika's back with a look at those roadways. How's looking at this 6 o'clock hour?
All right. Hey, Jackie, let's head out to Northern Virginia. If you look really closely, you are seeing some traffic. 66 heading eastbound. This is through Centerville. Past this point right near 29, you're going to find a crash there. You're seeing some slowdowns right through Manassas and into Centerville. You can see that right there. And Lee Highway 29, that is another way you can use to get around all of that mess. But Lee Highway does get tricky as well. So just watch for delays in that area. On 95 heading northbound, 2 lanes blocked right now. That's through Lorton because of a crash. And overall, though, you're looking really good along the Capitol Beltway. You're starting to see some slowdowns past New Hampshire Avenue on the outer loop.
All right, Shanika, thank you. In Virginia, a case of ding-dong ditch turned deadly. A man is facing charges after a shooting in Spotsylvania County. Spotsylvania County deputies say Tyler Butler allegedly shot 18-year-old Michael Bosworth Jr. It happened Saturday morning on Mackenzie Lane. County deputies say they found Bosworth Jr. shot and 2 other teens at the scene. Bosworth Jr. died at the hospital. According to reporting from the Fredericksburg Freelance Star, the 2 teens told county deputies they were doing ding-dong ditch pranks for a TikTok. They said they were trying to find a hiding place when the shooting happened. Butler is now being held without bond. And staying in Virginia, where the governor and attorney general are investigating Loudoun County Public Schools. They're accusing the school district of failing to protect student rights. According to Glenn Youngkin's office, 3 boys say another student who identifies as a gender different from their biological sex used the boys' locker room. LCPS denies that accusation and calls the investigation disheartening.
And some parents in Prince George's County expressing frustration and concern after the air-conditioned system at a local school stopped working. School leaders at William Hall Academy say the AC hasn't been working for the past 3 weeks. They say workers began installing a new AC system back in January, but the job was never finished because necessary equipment didn't arrive on time. However, the school system's chief operating officer says the work is moving forward. One parent tells us the conditions at the school were dangerous for her daughter because she has asthma.
And as a mother who was concerned about her child being in this building with the heat as it was, because my daughter also has asthma. So I was worried about that too because it was very hot in there.
School leaders are hoping to have the air conditioning restored by tomorrow. Developing now, the Department of Homeland Security is ramping up deportation enforcement efforts in the district.
This comes after reports of ICE agents handing out letters at several D.C. restaurants asking to see employment documents for workers there. Our Candace Cole is in the studio with more this morning. Hey, Candace.
Good morning. Well, ICE is reportedly targeting D.C. restaurants with inspection notices asking to see I-9 paperwork for employees. Those are the mandatory documents that determine work eligibility by showing proof of citizenship or resident status. Now, according to Migrant Insider, which first broke the story, ICE is targeting restaurant workers, specifically at Subway franchises and gig workers delivering for DoorDash. That information has not been independently verified by DC News Now, but warnings circulated on social media Sunday to expect an increased presence of ICE in DC on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, during a press conference, Mayor Muriel Bowser said she is disturbed by the reports she's received of ICE agents targeting restaurants and neighborhoods. She says MPD is not involved in those efforts. Abel Nunez with the Central American Resource Center says the ramped up efforts for enforcement have caused a chilling effect, something he says is visible on otherwise busy streets like 14th Street, which has seen less traffic recently. For anyone worried about being stopped by ICE, Nunez offers this advice.
Prepare instead of despair, right? And that means that you have a clarity around what you will do with your children, like who picks them up to school in the short term. If you are in detention, who takes care of them long term? If you happen to be in front of ICE, understand that you still have rights. And the main right that you have is to remain silent, not to self-incriminate.
Now, we did reach out to the Department of Homeland Security for comment on these reports. We have not yet heard back. Shanika, Randy?
Candace, thank you. We turn now to new details on D.C.'s budget crisis. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he will call a vote on the D.C. Local Funds Act as soon as possible. That's according to reporting by Politico. The legislation would restore D.C.'s current budget, which was cut in March by $1 billion. That's when Congress voted on a federal spending plan that reverted the district back to 2024 spending levels. The Senate already passed that legislation, but the House has failed to consider it, forcing D.C. to come up with a backup summer budget to address the gap.
We don't have a timeline, unfortunately, from the speaker. Soon as possible is our timeline. So I have had an opportunity to speak with the speaker, and I'm hopeful that there will be a resolution soon.
Mayor Bowser says her team must move forward with its supplemental budget. The goal is to have that budget to the council later today. And in the district, tourism numbers hit a record high last year, Shanika.
Yeah, and leaders are hoping to top that number in the coming years with more major events slated for D.C. DC News Now's Marielle Carbone reports on why they may face an uphill battle to attract more tourists.
It's big events like that.
With news of D.C. landing the 2027 NFL Draft, tourism is front and center.
Something like the NFL Draft is a huge economic boom for Washington, D.C.
Last year, tourism hit an all-time high in D.C. with 27.2 million visitors. That number translates to $2.3 billion in tax revenue and more than 111,000 jobs.
What it means is that a mom can put her kid through college, the family can buy a home, and the hospitality economy has helped us get there.
Mayor Muriel Bowser leaning in with more big events like the 2025 Club World Cup happening too.
Creating more events, activations, venues improves our bottom line.
Still, leaders admit D.C. is fighting an image problem.
Right now, there's a perception forming overseas that the U.S. isn't as welcoming as it once was.
According to Tourism Economics, international travel to D.C. is expected to drop by 6.5% this year due to global politics. D.C. already seeing the impacts on world pride.
The rhetoric has made a difference.
Elliot Ferguson is the CEO of Destination D.C.
Our hotel community, we hoped by now they'd be sold out. They're not.
Moving forward, he and others say their focus is on highlighting that D.C. is more than federal politics.
We love monuments, memorials, and museums, but it's our neighborhoods, restaurants, of course, sports.
And the reason there's such a big focus on attracting international travelers is that's where the money is. Ferguson says typically those travelers spend more and stay longer, on average dropping more than $2,000 a visit. And happening now, the Vatican is preparing to choose the next pope. Following a morning mass, 133 cardinals will shut the doors of the Sistine Chapel and hold their first vote. This right here is a live look at St. Peter's Square. A 2/3 majority is required for a new pope to be elected. When the new pope is elected, white smoke will come from the chimney. Now, if there's no decision after a vote, black smoke will show instead. Stick around. We'll have a live interview with an expert on the conclave, and that's at 8:15. And a fire department in Montgomery County might be seeing its last days. Today, the county council will vote on whether to shut down the Hightstown Volunteer Fire Department or keep it. The department says if they close, there would be longer emergency response times and infrastructure challenges. Leaders at the department started a petition to save their station and launched a website to create awareness on the ongoing issue. The county council is expected to make their decision this afternoon.
Starting today, Real ID requirements are in effect. If you don't have one, you may have a more complicated time trying to board flights and getting into federal buildings. If you don't have a domestic flight scheduled soon, you don't have to rush to get that Real ID to fly. But if you do, you may have to complete an identity verification process. But passports, military IDs, and tribal identification will be accepted in place of Real ID cards. Just a reminder, though, you do not need a Real ID to drive, vote, buy alcohol, go to the post office or Social Security office. You also won't need a Real ID to receive federal benefits, hospital care, or enter a courthouse. It's also National Nurses Week. We are recognizing the challenges nurses face in the care they provide around the globe. The American Nurses Enterprise is partnering with multiple brands to bring discounts to nurses this week. At Cinnabon, nurses get either a free classic roll or a mini bon. At Insomnia Cookies, they can get a free cookie. And at Buffalo Wild Wings, they are offering 20% off of orders. For all those discounts, though, you do need a valid nurses ID. Nurses Week ends next Monday.
All right, your time now is 6:11 on this Wednesday. A heartbreaker on ice. The Caps falling to game 1 of their round 2 series.
Yes, what players are telling us needs to happen so they can take down the Hurricanes in game 2. Plus, potential tariffs coming to foreign-made films. What lawmakers say is the best way to prioritize American movie making.
All right, it's time to take a live look outside over this beautiful horizon there, Jackie. We have a lot of clouds.
Yeah, we do for now. But then as we look ahead towards later on today, we'll see more of that sunshine and high temperatures climbing mid to upper 70s. Overall, a really nice day ahead to get outside and enjoy it. As we get towards tomorrow afternoon, though, some thunderstorms are back in the forecast. More details on that right after the break.